have to know.
I have to make like a banana. I have to make like a banana.
Okay, but really, shouldn't you check into your physics?
Like,
Okay.
I just learned math too, okay?
Alrighty, guys.
That's what listening to Barry White gets you.
Listening.
My darling, I
Very
can't get
well.
enough of your love, babe.
It makes me want to watch one.
Isaac Hayes. All I can think of when I hear Isaac Hayes is Shaft. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Okay. There was a person at the school that I taught at in Virginia that used to wear a coat like that. Looked exactly like the guy. Okay, guys, let's go. So today, James, can you hear me? Yes? No? James, okay, great. Okay, so you can turn off your noise. Okay. This is a review because what you have this week. What you have this week is just 2 summative tests, and the reason they're 2 is so that I could break it up. One is just right triangle trig, and the other one is law of sines and law of cosines, so it wouldn't seem too overwhelming all at once. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go through is right triangle trig. Did you guys fish at all? Okay, well, another way to say I'm going fishing is I'm going angling. Fishing. I don't like to fish. I mean, I like to, yeah, I do. I like to fish, but I don't like to touch the worms or the fish. So.
Why not? I'll bring a can of worms.
No, yuck. Okay, so when you talk about the sine of an angle, that means that you're working with the opposite side, and that's the opposite side from the angle, and then the hypotenuse of a right triangle. Okay, I'm glad somebody remembered over there. So, okay, so the opposite side from the angle, and it's really important to remember those things because in right triangle, it's the easiest way to find the angles and find the sides. All right, so that said, sine of A, so here's A, we're looking at the opposite side and the hypotenuse. Easy stuff. Okay, the sine function specifies, all right, hi Michaela, that these 2 sides, oh, hi Devin, of the triangle, and they must be arranged as shown. The opposite side must be on top, all right, and then the hypotenuse. Okay, sine function. So in your calculators, I tried to bring up my calculator, and apparently my free thingy ran out. So when you get a calculator, Miss Snyder over at Gateway and Miss Geyer over here, I think at Central the calculators are in the little office in a red bag. You're going to have to give me that. If it's going to be a distraction, it'll get it away. Okay, so in your calculator, when you want to evaluate, we have TI 83s, so what you do is you actually hit sine and then 40. Okay? So in your calculator, this is what you do, not this part up here. All right, you're going to hit sine first and then type in 40 and then press enter, and this is what you should get for your answer. So if you do not know the sine of 40 degrees, you can get an answer. So it's kind of important that you're able to access those calculators. There is an online calculator that you can use too, and it would give you the same, you can use it the same way. Pardon me?
Google calculator.
Yeah, and the one that I think is in Google or in on the computer, I think you type in 40 first and then the sign. Do you guys know?
I don't know. I don't think I ever used that one.
Anybody over there know?
You don't remember
I don't remember.
really used it on
I don't remember. Okay, Yeah, there is. Okay, good. So you have calculator stuff. So in your calculator, you would type sine of 55, sine of 10, sine of 87. And these are the answers that you would get. I wish my calculator were working. I'm going to try to get it working again. All right, if you want the inverse sine, so what that means is that if you know the opposite side and the hypotenuse, but you want to know the angle, so you don't know the angle, but you know the sides, that's when you use this inverse sine. All right, and you would type in the TI-8, in the TI calculators, you would type in inverse sine, and then opposite over hypotenuse, and then that would give you the angle. Okay, let's go back. Ladies. Okay. Cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so the adjacent side is the side closest to the angle that you're looking at. And in your calculator, you would do the same thing. There is cosine. So in a TI calculator, you would press cosine and then 50, and then you would get this angle, or this number, sorry. Okay, if you wanted the inverse cosine, so in these, again, you would type in cosine 25, cosine 0, cosine 90. So other than the 25, does anybody know what the cosine of 0 is? 0 angle. What's a cosine? Anybody? Anybody? It is 1. And the one thing that you guys, yes, exactly, James. The one thing that you should know, if your answer is anything ever greater than 1 for sine, cosine, then you've typed in something wrong. Because no matter what the angle measure, the sine and the cosine are going to be less than 1. It could be 0.999 or it could be 1, but it's never greater than 1. What's the cosine for 90? Cosine for 90. Someone just take a guess. It's not a test here. You don't have to know it. You can always type it into your calculator. Devin, that's what someone over here said. Yes, it's 0. It is 0. Devin said 5. It's funny. It's just funny, Devin, because someone over here said 5 too. Okay. Cosine 45. I don't know what the decimal is for that, but it's square root of 2 over 2. Oh, 0.707. Okay. So those aren't things that you have to know. Those are things that you can use your calculator for, right? Later in trig, you'll have to know the unit circle and all that fun stuff. So what we would say here, again, if you want to know the inverse of it, that means that you want to know what the angle is. Okay? You have the sides, you want to know the angle. Last function that we're going to deal with is the tangent function, and that is going to be the opposite side over the adjacent. And it's the same thing. It's worked the same way. You're going to put tangent and then 40. So we're going to do the blue instructions here. Oh, lovely. Everyone gone. Okay, so we're going to do the blue instructions here. Okay. So in your calculator, you would type in 5. You would type in 30. You would type in 80 and then tangent. Okay? And tangent can be greater than 1. All right? Just so you know, it can be greater than 1. And obviously, all of these can be negative too, sine, cosine, tangent. And you're going to do the same thing. Tangent of theta is 28. So you're going to say inverse tangent of 28.64, and then you would get your angle. All right? So those are kind of like pretty important things to remember. If you remember this, SOH, CAH, and TOA, SOHCAHTOA, you should be able to remember how to find the cosine and how to find the sine and how to find the tangent with a right triangle. All right? This stuff is only going to work with a right triangle. Okay, and again, oops, here we go. Sine, cosine, and tangent. All right, review of sine. If I want sine of A, I'm going to take opposite. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent. Last one, tangent. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody tell me what tangent is going to be. You can type it in the chat box, or you can type it in Notepad. What is tangent? Just thinking about the sides. Obviously, we don't have an angle. Type it, let's go. Nope. Tangent. SOHCAHTOA. Opposite over adjacent. Yeah. Adjacent, that's A. Yeah, and that would go in the denominator. All right, so here's a problem. Okay, so we have this irregular shaped lovely lake here. The distance across the lake, this distance is unknown. To find the distance, the surveyor took the measurements in the figure, and what is the distance across the lake? What I want you guys to tell me for this one is, what am I going to use? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Or inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tangent? To find A. This is what I want to find, is A. What trig function am I going to use? Yeah, James, I am. I'm going to use tangent. And that's because it is opposite over the adjacent. So I would put in tangent 24 is equal to A over 50, or 750, and then I would solve, right? Piece of cake. Yeah? Yes. All right. So the distance across the lake is 333.9 yards. All right. Again, if I wanted to know x, I know the sine of 30, or I want to find the sine of 30, I would just type that into my calculator and it would give it to me. But if I wanted to know, if I knew what the number was, the 0.707, then I would type inverse sine. All right? Law of sines. Ready? This is easy. Side A over sine A, side B over sine B, side C over sine C. These are all equal to each other. You can also flip them, so the sine can be on the top. Okay? You're going to use this when you know two angles and a side. So angle, angle, side. And they need to be, the angles need to be next to each other, and the side opposite one of those angles, or angle, side, angle. Okay? It's important to know when you want to use these. So if you're given a triangle with angle A is 70, angle B is 80, and side A is 12, we want to find the measures for C, angle C, side B, and side C. What's the easiest way? Guys, the easiest way to find the measure for angle C? It's written right on my face. Say what? What's the easiest way to find? We know two angles in a triangle. What's the easiest way to find the third angle? How many degrees in a triangle? Yeah, they add up to 180. So I would take 180, subtract 70, subtract 80, and get my third angle C. Okay, so if I wanted, that's exactly what happened here. All right, angles in a triangle total 180, so angle C is 30. And then we're going to use law of sines, and we get side B is 12.6, and side C is 6.4. Okay? Law of sines. You have to know 3 of the 4, all right? Okay. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. All right, law of cosines is a little bit more difficult. And again, if you guys have paper and pencil, write these down and make sure that you have them when you're doing your exam, okay? The first part, there are 2 exams this week. First one is right triangle trig, all that stuff that we just did. Second one is law of sines and law of cosines. All right. So you're going to use the law of cosines when you know 2 sides and the angle between them. All right. And again, if I wanted to know side A, right, this is what I would use. B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A. And it's just calculator work. You have to understand which side you want to solve for, right? You have to pick it out. You have to make sure you're using the correct equation. Okay, so side B, or I'm sorry, side A is 26.8. Angle B, how would I find angle B? Oops, we did that. I went backwards. Okay, sorry. All right. So if I want angle B, I would rearrange my formula, and then I would take the inverse cosine. So angle B is 40. How would I find angle C? Say again?
180, right?
Yes. They all have to add up to 180. You know 2. Subtract them to 180. Exactly. All right. So, last question. What I want to know here, guys, is which, for the first part A, would I use law of sines or law of cosines to solve this triangle? For part A, guys, look at part A. I'm going to use law of sines, law of cosines. Don't have to solve it, just tell me which one am I going to use. Look at what you have. I have an angle and I have the side opposite. If I want this angle, I have the side opposite, so I could use law of sines. For the first one, law of sines. All right? Say sine B over 8.3 and then sine 83 over 15.3 and then solve. Does that make sense? Okay. What about B? Could I use law of sines or law of cosines? Do I know, this is important, look at this. Do I know any of the sides? If I don't know any of the sides, I can't use either. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? First one, law of sines. Second one, neither one. All right, so again, 2 exams this week, and I divided it up so it wouldn't be so daunting. It wouldn't be so, you wouldn't go crazy thinking you had to know all of it, right? First part is right triangle trig. Second part is law of sines and law of cosines. Anybody have any questions? Anybody up to week, this is week 5? Week 5 yet? Yay! Yay! Excellent! All right. So you guys, that's what you have for this week. And if you have no questions, then make sure to put that you attended today and yay. I guess if you need any help, let me know. Have a lovely day. Bye, James.